Now, that was AM News, and of course, coming to you live on Global Television. And this is still Global Morning. Over now to the papers on Global Morning. And like I said, I will be joined by a political analyst, Mr. Blessing Mina. Are you here with us? Hello, Mr. Blessing. Hello? All right, before Mr. Mina joins up shortly, I will start with the Vanguard. And above the heading of the Vanguard newspaper, I will start with, it says, Tinubu commends Tantita Security, others for fighting oil theft. And of course, still on the Vanguard, release unremitted funds to NDDC, Niger Delta stakeholders urge Tinubu. And still above the inscription of the Vanguard, it says, Isaduma's second term, Imo safe for business. And that remark was said by Tinubu. Now, below the inscription of the Vanguard, it's a large inscription talking about insecurity, and it says gunmen run riot in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Kastina, and 3 others. And still on the Vanguard, it said cost of doing business to remain high as inflation hits 28.9%. And below it, we have Rivers government, Mom as Assembly gets set to screen, confirm 9 resigned commissioners. And that's it on the Vanguard newspaper. And then we'll move into the Daily Trust before I will be joined by Mr. Blessing Caribbean. Now, the Daily Trust says, and the caption there is 438 million. Interior Minister faces CCB today. And below it, we have, of course, more when it comes to death tolls. 5 bodies recovered, scores missing as boat carrying 100 capsizes in Niger. That's really sad, very sad note. The last the boat capsize we heard was the one coming from Kogi to Rivers, which is a very sad incident. Then now another 5 bodies recovered, scores missing as boat carrying 100 capsized in Niger. Now residents flee as bandits attack military camp in Kastina. Still on terrorism and of course insurgency. And let's not forget, next to that we have the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Tinubu Pabio gives honor to foreign heroes. And that's it on the Daily Trust. And of course, next we'll be looking at another newspaper, The Punch, sports, and it says Yusuf rejected man turns eagle most cherished. And of course, that's that headline on The Punch Sports Extra there. And of course, more, it says Kamara Bruce as Senegal beats Gambia 3-0. And of course, the King of Sports is supposed to give us a breakdown on this, so I'm going to just move to the Punch newspaper. And the Punch, above the Punch, the caption says OPS blames struggling Naira for highest inflation in 21 years. And of course, we have 14 states spend 21 billion Naira on foreign trips despite zero FDI. And EFCC to arraign ex-minister over unpaid 3.6 billion Naira loan. Oh my, EFCC, the Economic Financial Crimes Commission there, arraigns ex-minister over unpaid 3.6 billion Naira loan. And below the Punch inscription, we have adoption epidemic spreads nationwide. Of course, still on insurgency, a lot has been happening when it comes to kidnappers, moves from expressway to Lagos, Oshun, Abuja city centers. Kidnappers are spreading their wings to all of these places. Still on the Punch, it says abductors kill 2 young victims, demand 7 million ransom for 9 others. And that is it. And of course, Tinubu National Assembly gives remembrance. Of course, yesterday, the 15th of January, was the Armed Forces Remembrance Day for the fallen heroes. And I don't know if I'm being joined by Mr. Caribbean Mina. Are you here with me right now? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Mr. Mina, good morning. Thank you for staying with us. And then we're over now. We've moved to the newspaper review. I know we're going to still talk extensively about the judgment of the Supreme Court, but let's just quickly give a rundown of the paper review at about this time. And over now, let's just move to, I started with the Daily Trust, and it says, bandits return to Kaduna Abuja Highway, adopt 30. Now, it seems that for as much as the armed forces or security agents are trying their best to curtail this menace of the society, they keep coming up again and again with different, will I say, different blows. And looking at it, Kaduna Abuja Highway has been one of the most attacked roads for travelers traveling from the train to roads. And now they've adopted 30. Do you think the security agents are not doing as much as they should, or will I say, perform their duties? What do you think are the challenges that these abductors keep coming up again and again?
Yes, I thank you and I thank your station for bringing the spotlight on this insecurity that has been a monster in Nigeria for decades now. Abuja Kaduna Highway has been very problematic since the days of President Buhari, and we know that after a lot of people were kidnapped, in which we are including students, politicians, they fast-tracked the railroad, and the politicians started using the train, and they were also attacked. The train was also attacked. A lot of people were also abducted. And recently, when Mushideen Asari Dokubo, the warlord of the Niger Delta, visited Buhari, he made claims that he was the one that used his boys to stop the kidnapping and the onslaught of the people of the underworld on that expressway. But he said they had a contract under Buhari. Of course, the contract has been terminated. Now we are hearing that these kidnappers, ritualists and robbers, militants, terrorists are back on the highway, on that particular highway. I think the military, from the result we have on ground, it's a pity we have to say it as it is, that they have not lived up to expectation. Because though you are starting with this daily trust headlines, if you look at all the headlines, it has been insecurity all around the country, from the north central to the northeast to the southeast to the south south to the south west, everywhere. It's like Nigeria is plagued with insecurity. No life seems to be safe except the one that is held by God.
Hmm.
So at this point, I think the military need to up their game. Though the police command said yesterday that they are stationing, or they are having a new rethink on the security architecture of that expressway, and they are going to solve it by positioning a crack team that will guard the road and all that. But we know that in Nigeria we have heard a lot of promises, and we have let a lot of we have seen a lot of body movement, but the results are always short-lived, or they are not even available at all. So I think the security outfits, the joint security outfit, which is both the army, military, navy, and air force, to put their heads together and really bring some sanity. This is a cry. Nigeria is crying for help, because now everybody is afraid. How can somebody want to travel from Abuja to Kaduna or Kaduna to Abuja?
Mm-hmm.
The person does not know what to expect, because anything can happen. That may be the last time the person may be seen. As you follow the headlines and read between the lines of the news, you see that the abductors, the terrorists, the bandits, they are gone more vicious now. So not like in the beginning, where either they release or they keep, like the case of Dapshi and the rest. Now they demand for very huge ransom, and there is no guarantees anymore. Even
Yes.
when even when people pay the ransom, they choose to kill them. So Nigeria, I think, the of course we don't have any hope than to believe in the presidency and the military
Yes.
and the security outfit. So I think we need to call. They need to put their house in order and really make people feel safe. Because for now there is fear, too much panic and fear and uncertainty, insecurity and tension on this aspect of insecurity, especially on that highway.
You know what? Talking about still speaking about ransom being paid, and there's no hope if the ransom is paid and the victims will still come out alive. We're going to talk about that in our first discussion of the day. But let's go over to the Vanguard first of all. Mr. Mina. And it says here, Tinubu commends Danita Security others for fighting oil theft. Of course, we know how oil theft has been on the uprise when it comes to places like Bayelsa, rivers and all of that, you know, fighting oil theft. We know those are where we generate most of our income, oil. So what's your take on the commendation that was given to Danita in fighting the oil theft by our president?
Um, in this regard, I mentioned Asari Dokubo. Now, that Tantita is a company set up by it goes by the nickname of government. He's a former Niger Delta militant warlord, so they know the tricks. Just like Asari Dokubo, they know how to handle such matters because they have been involved in a level of struggle, a self-determination for the South then. The Buhari government, if you follow the news then, when it came in 2015, the Buhari government spent about a year or 2 years looking at arresting, and they declared government, his nickname is government, wanted. They went to his village, killed people. In fact, in the process, his own father died. But this oil theft continued. Nigeria was producing oil as far below about 1 million barrels then or less. The government, as the general that he was, he looked at it and he said, look, instead of us to keep pursuing this man and we are losing revenue, let us employ him. That was how they employed government then. And the contract then was in terms of billions of naira. There was a lot of outcry from people. Why will you give such a man this kind of a huge amount of money for a contract for surveillance of the pipeline? What are the security forces doing? But the result we have is that since Tantita was given the contract, it has been one victory to the other. They have been the only ones arresting and exposing high nets, high big vessels that hitherto have been entering the Niger Delta and stealing this crude oil. They have been arresting. So the recent one was a very large one. Sometimes they arrest and the security forces, the Navy, will come and release them through government power. But Tantita always, escalate it. So this time around, it was a huge success, just like they have been doing, and the revenue from the oil have been steadily substantial, about 2 million barrels now, and they're even from government projection, they're even looking at scaling it up. So to that extent, Tantita have been doing a good work. They have lived up to expectation. They did not let the government down, and did not let themselves down, and did not let Nigeria down.
Yes.
So far, so good. they have done a good job in that respect.
Yes, and I'm sure because of you mentioned they've not let themselves down, they've not let the government down, they've not let Nigerians down, and they've not let themselves down in the growth of Nigeria as an economy, because they know that is one of our major source of wealth when it comes to oil. Now, still on the vanguard and still talking about insecurity, because it's a major concern for every one of us in the society. And it says gunmen run riots in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, and three others. Now, for so many people that will say to themselves, it's only happening in the north, it's only happening in state. Now, these gunmen are on like it's read on the headline, they run riot. That means insecurity is everywhere. Does that mean that nowhere is safe? It doesn't matter how armed, or do you think security agencies, they have challenges when it comes to weaponaries, when it comes to taking guard or taking charge? How do we go about this particular menace in our society as we have seen?
This topic is being given the right attention, because like we all see and read the news every day, insecurity has gone from bad to worse. That is the way it is. Insecurity is becoming like Mexico now, whereby armed men in Mexico, drug lords, they use kidnapping as a source of business. A lot of cartels are operating. If you see what happened there last week, one a big cartel that was in prison escaped. So they are hunting him from road to road. So Nigeria is getting to that point. It's getting to that point whereby this thing started from the northeast, now is spreading everywhere. In Abuja last week also, a lady entered Uber. That was the last they heard about her. In fact, the safest point seems like the weakest point now. How can you enter Uber and the person is not safe? A person enters vehicle to travel from one point to the other is not safe. Our men just ambush places, attack villages, attack the expressway, kidnap people from their houses, some people in their houses, some people in the vehicles, some people on the highways. So it's a general news all across the nation. And I think, but my surprise is that, this our beloved government, they saw all this and they gave us a new mantra of renewed hope. And they came and, in fact, the escalation is even worse. And I don't know where to start from. I don't know what to say. But what we will keep pointing it out that, look, this means call for immediate attention. And the reason why a state exists is to make sure that there is security. Now, we don't feel the security everywhere, in the east, in the southeast, in the south-south, in the southwest, north central, northeast. So I think we need to really call the government to book. Let them see that they have failed and they are still failing, and let them rise up. Let people feel safe, because people are crying. Husbands are being killed, wives are being killed, children are being killed. Those are kidnapped, and the kidnappers then, some are killed, no hope, and the kidnappers are so audacious. They raise the ransom at will now. If they delay, they raise the ransom. There's nothing security could do. There's nothing the families are doing. There's no hope. Even those that pay, they still kill them. Some of them.
That's one of our main discussion. We're talking about ransom, and should Nigerians actually pay these ransoms to these kidnappers? Because at the long run, sometimes they pay these monies and they still end up killing their victims. Now, I want to ask a question, still on circling around insecurity. Do you think the reason for this uprising that we see is due to the fact that the economic hardship is biting hard. That is why most of these individuals feel this is the only way out, the fastest target to make fast money. Do you think it's the economy that has to do with this, or the employment issue, or the fact that there are no jobs, or the fact that people are actually struggling to make ends meet? What do you think is the root cause of this insecurity?
Yes, thank you for this question, and I would like to look at it from several angles. Number one, the economy is very bad. In fact, inflation as at yesterday was pegged at 8% or 8.5 or thereabout. Imagine such an inflation. Um, Upon the effort of the government bringing in some intervention funds, about 3 billion as at Friday or Saturday, 2.2 billion has been disbursed. Upon that, Naira is falling, it's having a free fall. It's changing over 1,000, even at the official market. So that translates to failure in business. That translates to no profit in business. That translates to high expenses in business. That translates to a lot of other things. So those that are even having businesses having a tough time hanging on. That's why you see that the reasonable businesses they are leaving Nigeria. The multinationals, the big business, they are leaving Nigeria, leaving, the sole proprietor, the partnerships, and the others to begin to see how they can survive it. Of course, there's the aspect of moral decadence already that has been going on. Moral decadence where people have very poor character, where people and again, apart from the aspect of the poor economy, moral decadence, you also have the one of desperation, whereby people seem not to have hope. The government normally gives the people hope. So when you see the direction the government is going, and you can see the result of the government policies, of course, it gives the majority of the population a lot of hope. So people know that though I didn't eat in the morning, maybe I will eat in the afternoon. If I didn't eat in the afternoon, maybe I will eat in the evening or maybe tomorrow. But now, there's a lot of desperation because people seem not to see hope. That's the fact of it. If you discuss with people, you find that there is no hope. If not, think about it. Why is it that suicide is escalating in Nigeria? People now take joy. You see, in fact, I mean, those that seem to even have a job, they don't even trust the job. They kill themselves. I'm telling you, it's in the news every day. What of those that don't have job at all? What of those that are losing job? Now think about even those civil servants that have served the nation. Their pensions they are not paid. Poor people. So in several dimensions, there's a lot of desperation. There's a lot of hopelessness. So this makes, a segment of the population to take up any means, whether the worst means as survivor. So now you see that some people, because of this, have taken kidnapping. If you read the stories, in fact, although some of them are, out of lawlessness and whereby they just take it up. While some take it up as a business, because I'm not their advocate, but some of them maybe they have lost their business, their source of business. Maybe during government policies of maybe banning their goods or custom holding or some of them their farmlands were destroyed in the north or something. So they just look at that and use this as an easy source of business. And they are growing in it. They are being more stout and vicious. You understand? So they don't respect the law. Whether they respect law enforcement, neither are they even afraid. They're not even afraid. They are ready to take on the, the state securities. So this is kind of a situation we have. Either those that we are asked into it, or those that are, they're already morally degraded and they go into it. But generally, in all of this, a lot of people go into this kind because our security outfit in Nigeria seems to be very weak. That is the way it has been for over 10 years now. It seems to be very weak. So because of this, a lot of people are so emboldened to join and do it because in other countries, of course, the mantra is that don't do crime. If you do crime, you'll be caught. But these people, they are so emboldened to do crime because they seem not to be caught. As they seem not to be caught, more people are joining by the day. So this is why the news of crime and the news of kidnapping, the news of ritual killing, the news of banditry, the news of terrorist attacks are not stopping because our security outfits seem to be weak. Not that they are not working, but they're not able to match the pace at which these crimes are escalating. So they seem to. So in that regard, they seem to be weak. So there is a need for a rethink. As a patriotic Nigeria, I think my advice is that the security outfit need to look at these crimes again, and it's their job to get a solution. They need to sit at it again and get a solution because Nigeria must not be a jungle. Nigeria must not turn to be a jungle because at the level, at the pace is going, is getting to the pace of a jungle. Yes, whereby the survival of the fittest. So, so we need to security outfit on their feet, like the administration is doing, bring this topic to the front burner daily. Somebody will be listening. One day, I believe each of the different security outfits will begin to get it right. When they get it right, people get courage in doing crime. When people see that security outfit is thinking ahead of them, intelligence is very high, whereby they're able to nip the crime in the bud, not not playing defensive, not waiting for the crime to be carried out, then they begin to look for the criminal. No, the security networks need to have a lot of undercover agents, need to think outside the box. Of course, this is why they are security. I'm not a security person. Of course, if I'm there, of course, I would have thought outside the box. I need to get results. So they need to now begin how to solve this, get a lot of undercover agents, get a lot of people to mingle with anywhere crime is likely to occur.
Okay.
The people must be there.
Yes.
Anywhere crime is likely to occur. This is how they
Okay.
can stop it, not to wait for crime to be committed before they start contending.
I want to ask another question, and it's still on the Vanguard. It says cost of doing business to remain high as inflation hits 28.9%. I know you own a solar venture. You install solar and all of that. When it comes to solar power panels, I know you're into it. I know you are in depth when it comes to one of the major suppliers here. So now, looking at that critically, has inflation affected businesses, or has it affected businesses with all of these issues when it comes to inflation and business merging them together?
I wouldn't like to I would like to go personal. So I would like to keep it at a national level, at a
Okay.
general level, but I'll just give you a general review. I'll just give you a general review.
Okay.
The general review is the business outlook has been very challenging. It has been challenging because, of course, everybody wants to eat, but food is expensive. Number one. Number two, everybody wants to work, but the salary you seem to be low. Number three, even those that have the salary, the value of the salary is being eroded. That is, they are earning 50,000 naira in January, let's say in January 2023. By December 2023, that 50,000 naira, the value is about maybe 30,000 naira or 32,000 naira. So that is the challenge. So that is exactly what they can buy. Number three, even even you have money, there's a cost of executing that money. Maybe you need to enter a vehicle to the place, or there's a cost. Even the cost to execute that money is even very high. So it leaves you poor. It just leaves you poor. So that is the challenge in business right now. The business is very challenging. The economy is challenging. The value of the naira is challenging. So even those that want to buy seems to having challenge because, of course, their salary either it is static or some have lost job. So those that are daring now have self-belief and they go into businesses, they have some other challenges that they are facing. Okay, and maybe transportation, high cost, maybe taxation, high cost. Okay, and they look at other different sorts of challenges. You know, so the environment has been very challenging, even for the businessman. It has been very, very challenging. So I think that's why we have a government, and that's why we are picking up. Government should look at this and look at how to make the environment smoother. Don't just listen to IMF. IMF are taking care of their people. Some of these countries that are making laws for Africa, they have secured their population for about 50 years, even if they don't work. So you cannot look at such countries and say you don't give subsidy, you make things hard, so you have more money. More money for what? For the people that are alive. You don't allow your people to die and because you want to have money, now you make a budget of almost 30 billion naira and you are celebrating. How many people are dying? In that almost 28 or 29 trillion budget, how many people are losing their jobs? How many people are losing their jobs? How many people, because of high cost of transportation, are not able to, keep their job because they looked at it, they're not evaluating. If I need to go to work and I will get maybe 20% of this my salary, maybe they should just stay at home. So this is a thing that government should need to rethink and have a formula for Nigeria. A formula to work, not a book formula, not a theoretical formula. A formula that will work, a formula that will begin to breathe fresh air into the Nigerian homes. Let people feel government. Let people begin to have hope of life, not people living life very desperate. Why don't you step back, let someone that can do it?
But Mr. Mina, I want to come in, please. Let me just interject. But really, this present administration, they met all of these things here. So I think this is a gradual thing. It will take time. They met all of these corruption. They met it, and I think they're slowly and gradually trying as much as they can to create a balance. Let me take you back to the presidential speech. I keep going back to it because it's something that it spoke to me as a Nigerian. The inclusiveness of everyone coming together, all together, trying to carry one along. Don't you think this administration, they're different compared to the predecessor, although the same party, but this particular administration, too early for me to say they've proven that beyond the doubt, they're actually trying as much as possible to carry one along.
Okay. Of course, we cannot give any administration pass mark or failing mark because there is a tenure. The tenure for the administration is 4 years. It is after, in the true sense of it, it is after 4 years, actually, you can really have a good retrospect and say, okay, in this aspect, in that aspect, in that aspect. But as a citizen, we can look at it. Is the president having a good start? They having a poor start? Even having a strong start? Okay, that is that is the way we can look at it. Yes, the government was one APC to another APC, but you will know that the days of Nigerian good economy was it was last recorded under PDP
Okay.
when the economy was, said to be the biggest in Africa, was said to be fastest growing economy in Africa, when Nigeria was the investment destination of most companies that want to enter Africa. These days, the proof is every company that was living in Nigeria before are even living. Very few are coming in. Very, very few. So that is, so in that yardstick, it is because as business entities, they are looking at the indices. Looking at the indices, they're looking at a lot of other, they're looking at many parameters. I would not want to put my money in an economy that is failing, in an economy that people are desperate, in an economy that is having so much insecurity, in an economy that have very poor transportation. So people, they are looking at it from very many areas. So in that regard, you have to commend President Tinubu, because of course he's doing it with formulas he believes will give him result at the end of the day. Every
Okay.
policy is putting in place with the thought that this policy will give me the result I need, probably to win the next election or to help my people. So we need to, of course, give him time. I
Yes.
want to speak
I,
as a business, yes.
Okay. Now, the last question on the Vanguard, one of the write-ups on the Vanguard says, River government mom as assembly gets set to screen, confirm 9 resigned commissioners. Now, why are they mom? Like, why are they keeping quiet? What's your take on that?
We know that there was a lot of tension in River State late last year,
Yes.
month of October, November till December. Okay, and between the Governor Sim Fubara, and the former governor, of territory, Ian Wike, there was a lot of tension, a lot of issues came up, disloyalty issues and overbearing issues. Each party was counter accusing each other. Presidency intervened, and there was a signed document of about 8 points. It's about 8 points signed document, 1 point for Nyesom Wiki, or 7 points for the governor. The more burden was on the governor, because some things, of course, have been done. Some people have resigned from his cabinet that were loyal to Wiki, and a budget was passed during the period. A budget of about, is it 800 billion or thereabout? The budget was passed, and a few other things was done without the quote and unquote resigned members of the state assembly. So to reverse the situation, this point, I think, is one of the points that was included in their agreement and resolution, that things should go back to status quo. Those that resign should be brought back. State assembly members should be allowed to do their duty and should not be disturbed. State assembly suspend all impeachment proceedings. So yes, the government was known because.
All right, Mr. Karibi Mina, we will be joined by Mr. Karibi Mina, but we need to quickly go on a quick break. Remember, this is Global Television Newspaper Review. We'll be right back. Please stay with us and don't go anywhere.
let them cut it.
You're welcome back, and this is Global Morning on Global Television, and yes, this is the paper review. And I'm still on with Mr. Karibi Mina. Is he here with us? Mr. Karibi, are you here?
Yes,
Hello?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I'm here.
I can. I can. You're welcome back from that short break. Now, we're moving on to the Daily Trust now. The Daily Trust says, on the caption of below the Daily Trust, it says 438 million contract. Interior Minister faces CCB today. And of course, we know who the Interior Minister is. That's Olubumi Tunji-Ojo, over the involvement of his company in the alleged 438 million contract scam that was uncovered in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. And it will commence today. Now, what is your take on this whole saga that is going on with the investigation that will be ongoing with the Minister of Interior in connection with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs? What's your take on that, please?
I think it's a good one that there's a lot of exposures going on. The Minister of Interior, he came up and said he did not directly involve himself because he said his company that was alleged to have had this deal or this contract is no more the MD, that is only a shareholder. Though he was okay. So now at this point, I think we will leave it at the CCB to the truth in that matter.
Okay, and I'm still on the Daily Trust. We're looking at it. Said residents flee as bandits attack military camp in Katsina. Now it's so simple and clear that these bandits are not scared of the weaponaries that the military they have when it comes to and going into military camps and practically attacking residents in Katsina State. It's so sad. You know, we mentioned and we said, what are the challenges of the armed forces? Is it that we don't have enough equipment, or we're not fierce enough that these bandits who actually have the effrontery to go into military camps to attack residents, a military camp in code, not a community, but a military camp? What's your take on that?
As we follow the news, we know that this is it's an old story in that it has happened again and again, whereby in those days of Boko Haram, you know, they used to attack military bases, you know, in Borno State then. So now, like we said in the other earlier segment, when these people of the underworld are not stopped, they get emboldened. The more they succeed, the more they are emboldened. So we see that they are getting more bold even to face the military, whereby everybody is running. So if they are this bold to attack the military and see that residents begin to run where there's supposed ammunition and armory, so we can just imagine what happens if they choose to go to a city, the particular capital, in broad daylight. What will happen? So this is why we still call on the security outfits, the police, the army especially, to nip these issues and let us begin to have an assurance. Let us begin to, because all the news, there's hardly assurances. There's hardly assurances that these matters are being handled. So we need to begin to have assurance that, look, when this thing come up, it can be handled and it can even be stopped, it can even be nipped at the bud. So we look forward to seeing the.
And unfortunately took her phone. So you see that this is like a widespread now. It's actually gaining grounds. But let's move over from that and look at someone who promises more projects with 2 billion naira project. Do you think we can hold him to his word?
Before I get to Governor Sanwo-Olu, let me still comment a little bit about the escalating epidemic called insecurity. You know, I gave some other reason again why this is spreading is sometimes the open display of instrumental wealth by politicians, the open sharing of wealth by politicians. So this, you know, and as an aside, you know, when the minister that was at the eye of the storm, Betty Edu,
Yes.
you know, it was a lot of things came up that on social media she flaunts monies and wealth. You know, the same with almost a lot of not of but a lot of other politicians. They openly share money and openly so there's a lot of avarice in town, there's a lot of greed generally. So that is to add to another reason why this insecurity is spreading because everybody look at having money at all costs. The security agency need to work on that. Now, on Governor Sanwo-Olu, he has been a quiet performer. Yes, if you're in Lagos, robbery is not rampant. Of course, there is kidnappings along Lagos-Ibadan expressway and in some locations, but generally, there has been a level of serenity in Lagos. Yes, yes. If I want to look at it holistically, I will look at it from this dimension. We know that when Lagos was the capital of Nigeria, about 1960, of course, even the colonial masters used Lagos. I think at the point they used Calabar or Port Harcourt also. They used Lagos, you know, for the longest. And you know that Lagos has an exponential growth from the city center to the outskirts to even to the neighboring Ogun State. It was growing at a pace faster than the government to match up. But I can assure you that though I'm not part of the government, but and I'm not a politician, but I can assure you that the government is trying to match the spread at which Lagos has gone. And of course, things like drainage that was a problem, they are mashing it up. Yes, they are mashing it up. In the greater area, this problem is there. On the island is there. You know, all around Lagos, these problems are there. But I observe that the government they are expanding even the drainages. Yes, they're expanding as they are building new roads or as they are rebuilding the old roads, they expand the drainage because drainages
So,
they
Mr. Mina, so you agree with me that the drainage system was a problem at a point in Lagos?
it has been a
Since they're
problem, yes.
expanding, huh?
Yes, and so
Okay.
the
Okay.
government recognized it and they are expanding it as they are working. Of course, you know that Lagos is one massive expanse of land, a cluster of lands. So they are expanding it, but the budget of Lagos, I think it was about 2 point something trillion, about something close to 3 trillion. Okay, and which you know that is the biggest in Nigeria. The closest to that for security, for economy, I can assure you that yes, Lagos is setting the pace. Very, very much. Lagos is setting the pace.
All
Yes.
right, all right, all right. The last write up here that seems very interesting to me on the Punch. It says, talking about Wike now. It says Wike fiddles with Rivers politics while Abuja burns. Now, of course, we know Governor Nyesom Wike is the FCT minister. Does it mean that he's actually turning an eye from where he's supposed to be focused? That's the FCT, which is Abuja, trying to see how all hands can be on deck to curb insurgency when it comes to insecurity, the kidnappings and all what that is ongoing here. And it's actually putting its energy in Rivers. Do you think that is just, how will I put it, like mismanagement of focus, or what word am I looking for now?
Yes, the situation of Wike is a lesson for all politicians. It's a big lesson. Wike is in a dilemma. He does not know which side of the fence he will stand on, whether he must still join to part A or part B. Because as much as he's doing his calculation, time is going, a lot is expected from him. Okay, let's look at it this way. Wike was in PDP, body, spirit, soul, and body till about February or so when they did their was it February? I've forgotten the month. Was it the other year, November? Okay, it was 2022 November or thereabout or so when they did their convention. And since then, his wicked soul left PDP. But you know that when the soul is not in the body, the body is either in ICU or is taking oxygen or life support. So now Wike is trying to safeguard himself, but he seem not to know the timing, or he seem his base is River State. For you to be a politician of reputation, you need to solidify your base, because as much as you want to be a big player at the center, if you get weak in your base, you will not know the day you will be removed, because your value had crumbled overnight. So Wike is trying to eat his cake and have it. He want to be in PDP. Rivers is a PDP state. He's tying all his station of Rivers State from PDP to APC before probably he will now carry his body to join his soul in APC. So he has a dilemma. He has a contract to fulfill in Abuja as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
Territory.
He has a budget. He has a marked duties to perform, but he also has to protect his political structure in Rivers State, because that is what gives him value in Abuja. Anybody can be minister. Nigeria has had several ministers, but to have a minister of note, of repute, that can deliver from his base, he has to keep doing that. So this is what Wike will keep doing. I can assure you, Wike will not stop doing it, because Wike understands the game. The game is politics, and the game is not being any euphoria as a minister of FCT and lose his base, and thereby become less value. He's not yet a full bona fide member of APC, and whereby he became less valued. Of course, he became lesser in his value. He could be removed when they see that he's not having that when he's not having that value to produce to APC. APC did not dash the minister of APC, former governor Nyesom Wike, that position as minister of APC. No, he was given from his proven track record, from results that he can deliver River State. So he cannot lose sight at that. No matter what is happening, as a politician, he will not lose sight at that. He will make sure that he will hold the two sides, A and B, until when he's very sure that he's fully in APC, then River State can stand at APC. Because right now, there is a man and people behind him to make that dream not to come true, which is Governor Sim. Governor Sim seems not to be towing Wike's line, because Wike is fortifying his political future, and Governor Sim is trying to solidify himself as the governor in PDP. So these are two sides of a coin that will be playing out during these 4 years of this tenure.
how well that plays out and allow nature to take its course. Now we're moving on to the Guardian. Now it says federal government strained to meet 650 million barrel target over crude-backed loans. Now looking at this, federal government strained to meet 650 million barrels target over crude oil-backed loans. And I'm just wondering to myself, how do you think this is a reality?
This can be a reality with safety, with the work Tantita is doing at the Niger Delta, because Nigeria can meet any result. Remember that our crude oil have been mortgaged, I think, for 8 years, depending on the price of the crude oil. It has been used to collect loans amounting over 2.2 billion, about $3.3 billion. Okay, so a portion of our crude oil has been mortgaged already to service these loans. Depending on the price of crude oil, it will be up about 8 years to 10 years. So now, Nigeria needs a lot of sanity in the region of South South. That, in fact, that is one of the reasons why President Tinubu was intervening in Rivers State. I believe will keep intervening, because nothing must alter this agreement. Nigeria must see that our output continue to be steady, increase, as the case may be. So that's my take on that aspect.
Okay, now let's go over to this day, and it says NLPCL begins search for private operators for refurbished Port Harcourt refinery. Now that is before the inscription this day. NMPCL begins search for private operators for refurbished Port Harcourt refinery. Now looking at that caption, now how realistic is this? How far do you think this will go?
Yes, the issue is this: government is not telling themselves the truth. The truth is that, why will I, do turnaround maintenance on a refinery at a particular premium, and by the time this refinery is operating, I won't get that value. So what result am I looking for? The best decision was the decision that President Jonathan, former President Jonathan, wanted to do, which is to do outright sale of the refinery. If you do outright sale of the refinery, Nigeria will be the best beneficiary, because these refineries, Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna, have been sinking pits. They just take funds in dollars. So now, look at this. President Tinubu came in, he said, look, he's going to pump in money to refurbish this refinery. He has done that. He now said, okay, they now looked at it again, that, okay, if they run it as call for bid for this refinery, do an open bid, a transparent bid for this refinery. Let the best value bidder get it. Because if the best value bidder get it, Nigeria will be the best beneficiary, because this person is a business person. He comes to buy this refinery, he will make sure that it works at all time, at all costs. But if NNPC keep running this refinery, like we know that they hardly run in profit, always running at a loss. So is it when a third party comes in to make it, to service it? Of course, this third party will be earning a brokerage or a particular amount to run it. Yes, you must earn an amount. It is not free. So, and on the long run, what the government is doing is this. They believe that
Unfolds roadmap for power sector, says federal government spent 700 billion naira on electricity subsidy in 2023. Now, with this sort of amount of money, Mr. Karibi, and yet so many people complain about the power sector, how it has gone on the rise, how people are paying so much for meters. When it, how true do you think this is, looking at it critically, what he says?
yes, Mr. Adelabu is there to work, and to that extent, he has been able to fine tune some things. If you remember last year, there's this meter upgrade going on across Nigeria, and a few other reforms is bringing in. Yes, government is still championing subsidy in the electricity sector, which is good for Nigerians. Generally, the power consumption in Nigeria, just like the petroleum price, is said to be among the lowest when compared to a lot of other countries, especially Western countries. And so the minister is looking at breathing some fresh air into the sector and make the system work better. I think we should allow him to work so that we can now evaluate what the performance will be. But for now, the national grid had fallen a few times since he came in, about 4 or 5 times had collapsed. But generally, the last situation, we still have light, not perfectly everywhere, but generally, I think the outcry against power supply is better than better than before 2015. If you ask me, yes, if you ask me.
All right, let's still on the Tribune, a very interesting story that says over 50 aspirants jostle for Edo Gober ticket. 50 aspirants, that's a lot. That's a huge number. And in Edo, the issue in Edo, we have the north, we have the south, and we have the central. I mean, they feel the seated governor feels power should come to the central. But in my own opinion, I feel you should be qualified. You should have the right capacity to carry people along. But this number, 50, that's a lot. What's your take?
When an economy is poor, government become the most lucrative business. That is how it is. Where an economy is buoyant, of course, where an economy is buoyant, you will see people, turning down even offers. Yes, offers to be commissioner or minister, because the environment is, government has, the duty of government, number one, is to provide security and then provide the environment to allow businesses to thrive, provide healthcare, provide safety, for the people. But when, from the discussion we had from the beginning of these sessions, when all these things are evaporating, the best thing is to be in government, because there, that the revenues and funds, or is it the power to make appointments, whereby he has power to appoint, to make appointments in the different ministries, or to have different advisors, so, or is it travels you can be having all over the world? So these are the issues. When the economy is not good, you see government become the most lucrative business. So that is what is just playing out. So and it
Okay.
will keep playing out until the economy is fixed.
And then another on the Tribune, and it says here, Osun government raises concern over fake federal agents harassing state agents. Is it that they cannot differentiate? That's such a terrible story. Like the harassing of fake agents. That means there are fake agents looting around Osun State.
Yes, we still come back to the topic of poor economy, whereby you see fake army, you see fake police, you see fake government agent, because People are desperate, so they just do a fake ID card, sometimes just wear a fake uniform, they stand on the road to collect money, or like in this case now, they now go to circumvent institutions to now stand as institution to begin to give people some levies to pay, or to coerce them to pay bribes. So this is the proliferation of government agencies. So we are happy that the Osun State was able to identify them, and so they should deal with it to
Yes.
discourage others from from doing that line.
All right, now finally on the Telegraph, and the caption here says Nigerians need more soldiers to combat insecurity. The Nigerian Legion. Now, the Nigerian Legion, of course, we know they are ex-soldiers who have served in the military, and all that. These are people that are they are well knowledged when it comes to fighting wars. They have been in service. They've fought civil wars, and they're saying that Nigeria needs more soldiers to combat insecurity. Is it that the thousands of soldiers that we have in the northeast, when it comes to battalions, when it comes to sectors, when it comes to all of these things, are not enough to curb this insecurity that we are facing in Nigeria?
This headline is a sad one because the role of the military is not to fight the citizen of a country. The military is set up to guard the territorial integrity of a country. And this is supposed to be external, not internal. So it's when laws are broken down and there is disorder to the point that the police, which is the civil aspect of the armed forces, the police is supposed to quell or quench any form of you know illegal acts or unconstitutional acts, to bring that act in order, arrest the situation, and send that party to court for justice, but or detain that party for the time being. But for the to the extent that causing mayhem and destruction to their country, whereby their military, instead of their military to be positioned to protect the borders and territorial integrity and fight wars outside, their military is now deployed internally to different regions of that same country. Right now, there are different operations in the southeast, in the northeast, in the north, everywhere. Military operations to kill Nigerians that took up arms against itself. I think this is a very unfortunate situation, and we look forward to this order being addressed so that we can go back to sanity, go back to.
The year 2023 closed with higher food inflation figure of 28.9%. That's NBS talking about inflation at close in 2023. Let's talk briefly about that, like a minute or two, so we can just close up this newspaper review because of our time.
Yes, the issue is this: food inflation is on the rise, and it is on the rise because there is disorder in the country. The food baskets of this country, the North Central, have been displaced. Yes, the North Central, Benue State, Plateau State, have been displaced. So now, look, I'm not a security person, I'm a police, but as I look at this thing from hindsight, is it that there is a particular pattern, there's a strategy, there's an organization? Either are these people importers of food stuff, or are they stuff? There is a plan. This is not, it's a plan. They have dismembered and disorganized any village, any enclave, any area that is into farming. They have set them in disarray. Either they cannot go to the farm, or they cannot, produce. You understand? They cannot harvest. If they harvest, they can't transport it out. The menace is on the road, so those things will, decay on the road. This is like it's a grand plan. Now, the more these things are continuing, the farmers can't go to farm. If they farm, they cannot harvest. If they harvest, they cannot transport. So now this brings a lot of hardship because the ones that the the minute ones that the different other areas that are not the main producers of food are producing become very high and expensive. This is the start. This is what is happening. So
Okay.
government should, for me, I think government should put an eye on this north center first. Whatever they can do to secure Plateau State, to secure Benue State, they
All
should
right.
do it. Look
Oh,
at the other areas.
all right, Mr. Mr. Caribbean
So that
Mina.
the price of food,
Thank, thank
so that
you
the price
so
of
much. Thank you so much for being a part of our newspaper review this beautiful morning on Global Morning. Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank you very much. It's an
Thank
honor
you.
being with you.
Thank you, thank you. I really, really appreciate. Thank you so much, Mr. Caribbean Mina. And of course, he is a political analyst, and with all his analytical views, you can see that he is well in depth when it comes to political matters. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. All right, and it's a wrap on newspaper review. Let's quickly go on a quick break. Up next is business segments. Don't go anywhere. Our first discussion comes after the business segment. It's Global Morning.
Hello and welcome to Business Report on Global Morning. The International Monetary Fund has said that nearly 40% of jobs globally will be influenced by artificial intelligence, with advanced economies expected to experience a higher impact compared to emerging markets and low-income nations. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva expressed concern, saying in the most cases AI is likely to exacerbate overall inequality, adding that in most scenarios AI will likely worsen overall inequality, a troubling trend that policymakers must proactively address to prevent the technology from further stoking social tension, stating that AI income inequality effect will largely depend on how much the technology complements high earners. More productivity from the high-income workers and companies will boost capital return, widening the wealth gap. Georgieva says countries should provide comprehensive social safety nets and retrain programs for vulnerable workers. A total of 101,820 retirement saving account holders switched their pension fund administrator in 2023, representing an increase of 10.2% compared to the 92,413 transfers recorded in the previous year, and the highest on record. A total of 462 billion naira was moved by the RSA holders in the review year, 28% higher than the 361.5 billion naira that was transferred in the previous year, bringing the total since the inception of the transfer window to 1.14 trillion naira. The National Pension Commission reopened the transfer window in the fourth quarter of 2022. A total of 245,625 RRC holders have changed their pension administrators. This transfer is in line with Section 13 of the Pension Reform Act 2024, which specifies that RSA holders may transfer his or her account from the PFA to another. This is done in a bid to improve efficiency in the industry by intensifying the level of competition among the administrators, and also